everybody, welcome back into the Fantasy Variation. We are on to our Week 4 preview here this week. Lions and Colts both coming off another big win. My fantasy team finally in the win column. Colin, I think your fantasy team also in the win column this week. So a lot of wins so far this week for both our teams, fantasy and in real life. So that's awesome to see. Colin, other than that, I guess that probably puts you in a good mood. But other than that, how you doing today, my friend?
I was gonna say, man, can't be happier. On top of all of those things that you just mentioned, my Cincinnati Reds just swept the Cubs. I know we're a fantasy football podcast, but gotta shout them out. We're in the playoff hunt now, officially in the wild card position. So things are looking up. Reds doing well, Colts doing well, Lions doing well. Fantasy teams winning. Man, doesn't get any better than this.
It really doesn't, and I'm glad you didn't bring up the Detroit Tigers. But we're just not going to talk about any more baseball from here on out. We're just going to keep it to football, where we're definitely doing well this week. Speaking of the fantasy wins, I guess you want to maybe break down yours to start off our episode here?
Yeah, I would love to. Coming off a big win against Mr. Elgin. I'll keep it short on Elgin's team. He is not doing too well right now. I ended up beating him 137 to 97. His team didn't really get much going. I was kind of in the driver's seat this whole matchup, so appreciate it, Elgin. Didn't really have to worry here, especially coming off James Cook 20.8 points on Thursday night. So that was super fun. But overall, really happy with my team. We'll break down it. We'll go through a quick breakdown. Drake May, 19 points. And honestly, I didn't think he played too well. Threw a bad interception, made a bad fumble, almost lost another fumble. Speaking of fumbles, Ramondre Stevenson, I know we'll get to that later. But Trayvon Henderson looking up. But overall, pretty happy with Drake May. Like we said earlier, took him super late in the draft, and we're getting 19 points out of him. I think he's the 6th quarterback overall right now. So super happy with that. Christian McCaffrey, 24 points. With Mac Jones in there, he had 15 targets. So that's definitely very encouraging for me. James Cook with the 21. Welcome back to earth, Nico Collins, 22.4 points. I am still worried about him. The Texans look very bad, but very glad to see him come back to life. Jacoby Myers, only 9 points. A little concerned there. I mean, Trey Tucker went off, but they were trailing this game. It was kind of an ugly game for Geno. Not really concerned about Trey Tucker, but a little bit of concern overall for Jacoby. We'll see how he goes the rest of the year. Still very high on him, but a little concern there. Tyler Warren, sorry. 6.8, no concern for me there. Colts were in the driver's seat this whole time, and Jonathan Taylor was eaten, so not really concerned on that. J-Mo, 2 catches, 43 yards off the bat, was super happy with that, but then really didn't get much going the rest of the game, so slight concern there again, but we've got some depth. He might end up actually being a bench player for me, which I'll be pretty excited about. If he's one of the first guys off my bench, be very happy about it. Jaylen Warren, only 13 points, but I'm again super excited about that. Let's see. I think he had 18 carries, only 47 yards, but got 6 targets, 5 receptions. So very, very happy about that. Can't complain. But if we look at my bench, Omarion Hampton, 25 points. Put him on the bench this week. I'm fine with him going off. Very excited to see. Unfortunate for Najee Harris. Never root for injuries. But that's going to give Hampton a lot of room to grow here. And we finally got that breakout that we've been expecting. And then Cortland Sutton, 24 on my bench. Been very bad this year so far, but ended up getting I want to say like a 50-yard touchdown that definitely boosts his score. But without that, we take away that bomb of a touchdown. He still has like 5 catches for like 60 yards. So just encouraging to see Bo Nix start to target him more. Then the rest of the team didn't really do much. Tucker Kraft, that's been a really good backup tight end. Only got 5.9. Not a huge concern for me. I knew he's going to have some bad weeks, but we also got Daniel Jones down there sitting with a 16-point week. So I'll take that. Real happy about the Colts there. And we'll move to 2-1. So really can't complain. Like I said, Elgin knows where he sits. Hopefully he can get some better luck in the next few weeks.
Yep. We'll have to see for Elgin. As for your team, I guess a couple of things to say. I mean, your running back room is looking fantastic. I mean, I guess that's probably nothing new to you. You always emphasize the running back position in fantasy, it seems like every year. So once again, with McCaffrey, James Cook, and O'Marion Hampton kind of probably coming on the scene with Najee being out for the year, I think that's going to be a really dangerous running back room. Then your running back 4, shout out to Jaylen Warren. He kind of saved my betting day on Sunday, gave me something to go through the hoop on Sunday. So that was great to see. So shout out him hitting those receiving yards. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit there since that was one of your best bets. But then the last thing, I guess we were talking a little bit about that touchdown bonus. I think it was on FanDuel or DraftKings, like where if you get the longest touchdown, if you bet their anytime touchdown, you get like a share of bonus winnings. I don't know why I picked Jameson Williams knowing you had him in your lineup because you already know he's going to suck that game. So Lions obviously had a ton of success on the ground, didn't use Jameson Williams after the first possession. So not surprised to see that at all with you putting him in the lineup. That's for sure.
That's a great call out. I'll keep an eye if the Lions have any other like Sunday night or Monday night games. I'll keep that in mind so we can take him to score the longest touchdown there. I'll put him on the bench that week. Make sure of that.
Appreciate that. Taking one for the team there. And yeah, I guess as for Elgin's team, yeah, his receivers this year have just not really any of them have seemed to pan out so far this year. T. Higgins, obviously the injury to Joe Burrow has kind of brought his value down a ton. Marvin Harrison just can't really seem to get things going in Arizona with Kyler Murray so far in his second year. Calvin Ridley, I mean, he might be washed just in a terrible offense as well. Then Chris Olave, he's actually been performing a little bit this year, it seems like.
Yes.
In the Saints offense, I mean, if that's your wide receiver one, you're probably in trouble there. So yeah, his receiver room is not really looking too fantastic. Shout out to Christian Kirk, though. I think he could maybe be a startable piece here down the line. If the Texans offense can maybe get going a little bit, he could be a solid slot guy in PPR for sure. And then I guess just to call out Trey Benson as well, it seems like he'll get a little bit of infusion of talent here with James Conner being out for the year and getting to put Trey Benson immediately into his lineup. So we'll see if maybe that can jumpstart his points a little bit and get him into the win column. But yeah, I think right now he's the only 0-3 team, I think, right now. So we'll see if he can turn things around fast here.
Yeah, you pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. One other thing I wanted to add, Elgin said his whole team is on the trade block. So that's good news for anyone looking for team or players. The only bad news is he said Trey Harris is not on the trade block, so can't trade for him. But Elgin's looking for trades, so Trouble Mitch League, watch out, go look for him.
I thought you were going a different direction there. I thought you were going to say like the unfortunate news is like the only players worth trading for are Jahmyr Gibbs and Brock Bowers, and then that's where you're going to end it at.
That is also true, but I was trying to bring out something good for Mr. Elgin. But anyways, how'd your team end up this week?
Yep. So finally in the win column this week, which was great to see. I think it would have been really tough to make the playoffs after an 0-3 start. I know in the NFL it's basically impossible to do that, and I think in fantasy, I guess we have 6 teams out of 10 make the playoffs, so maybe not impossible, but you're definitely behind the 8 ball if you're in that scenario there. So very fortunate to pick up the win here this week, especially with my star player CeeDee Lamb starting the game and being in my lineup, and then actually injuring his. I think he has a high ankle sprain, I believe was what the diagnosis was. So he didn't actually come back. I guess he played the one snap and then didn't come back after that. So he finished with a goose egg in my flex there, which always makes it difficult when your best player is scoring 0, that's for sure. But the rest of the team was finally able to pick up the slack this week. We put up our highest total of the year at 124 points, which it's not really that great. I mean, we've definitely seen some higher scores throughout the year, and I've scored a lot higher scores even last season. So we're hoping to improve on that and maybe get things going, but happy to see a good week out of my team for once this year. And we were able to defeat Riley 124 to about 106. So it was a pretty solid victory. Although if Malik Neighbors had a good night on Sunday night, he would have ended up beating me. Luckily, he was just getting cardio in that game, so it wasn't really a huge sweat there near the end of the game. Just breaking down my team a little bit, I guess. Star players this week, I guess, Jordan Mason and Ricky Pearsall. Shout out to a couple of my loves from last week. They definitely balled out for me this week. Jordan Mason putting up 24 and Ricky Pearsall almost getting to 20 points himself. Not a great game for Dak Prescott. He seems to be having some pretty good passing numbers this year, so I still feel confident having him. Even without CeeDee Lamb over the next couple weeks, I think him to Pickens could still be a good connection in my lineup, and I'm still happy to roll out that stack week to week. Tony Pollard's been really disappointing this year, along with Chase Brown, who we kind of talked about a lot last episode. So I know they both have really difficult matchups going into this week. Pollard playing the Texans and then Chase Brown playing the Broncos. So I'm not really sure if I'm dying to get either of those guys into my lineup at the moment, but I feel like with Mike Evans and CD out, I'm probably going to have to get one of them, if not both, into that lineup. And then I think kind of just the one bench player I wanted to talk about was TreVeyon Henderson, which we'll talk about him later this episode. But yeah, with Ramondre fumbling twice last week and Gibson fumbling once as well, I think this could be the perfect game for TreVeyon Henderson to kind of get going, especially against the Carolina Panthers. So we'll see if the Patriots can put together a good game, kind of build up a lead and kind of get him the rock. And even if they do fall behind or kind of get in a neutral game script, I think he's a great pass catcher as well. So I think there's plenty of ways for him to get involved so far. And what we've seen so far this season has kind of been the worst case scenario for Henderson. So I think this week could finally be the week where it turns around. And I think almost 100% I'm going to have him in my lineup this week.
Yeah, good points there. I was going to ask. So with CD's probably going to miss some time. Mike Evans is going to miss some time. So you're looking for another flex spot there. I'm going to assume TreVeyon's going in there probably. But what do you think with Chase Brown? Are you confident in starting him, or are you looking for somebody else to put in that last flex spot?
So here's the thing. In my 16-man league, I also have Chase Brown. So he's basically going to have to start in a 16-man league. So I feel like I'm a little more inclined to sit Chase Brown kind of in our league just so I don't have to start him in both of my biggest leagues, I'd say. But as I have it right now, I guess I do have Chase Brown on the bench and I do have Tony Pollard in. But like I said, I'm not really dying to get either of those guys in the lineup, I feel like, but I'm probably going to have to do one of them or Nick Chubb, which that's kind of just another guy in that group of like running backs that'll get the volume, but you don't really want them in your lineup. And other than that, I think my lineup's pretty much set. As long as Jaden Daniels is playing, I want Debo in there. Like you said, TreVeyon Henderson, I've definitely got in there. And I think it's just going to be a toss-up of do I want Tony Pollard or Chase Brown filling out that last flex / running back spot this week.
Makes sense. Good analysis. I do want to shout out Riley. I mean, 106 points. Good work, man. That's going to be the most points probably you score all year, but 106, that's respectable. Tough loss, but wanted to shout him out there.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take the lead kind of on Riley's team analysis, but I think you were just going to say that all the players sucked, especially Malik Neighbors. So maybe we could just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, he did get 29 out of Jalen Hurts, but again, I don't know what to make of Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, I was very high on him coming in the year, but like, holy moly, like there are so many issues with him. He did catch one decent bomb, but other than that, I really don't know. So Jake Ferguson, I was hating on 13 catches. I mean, obviously CD got hurt. And I am looking for, I think George Pickens will be great for you with Dak, but yeah, not a whole lot to say on Riley's team. Keep it up, man. Hope that wheel works for you.
Yeah, I think we maybe said it after week one. It was another Jalen Hurts carry job here with his rushing touchdown BS that they keep pulling over there in Philly. So wasn't quite enough to get him over the hump this week. And I guess quick shout out to Devontae Adams for scoring a long touchdown on me because, of course, he had to at some point in the game. But luckily, this game wasn't close at the end of the day. So
very true. Very true. I did want to come back to my matchup real quick. I forgot to add one highlight of Elgin's team. His starters did outscore my bench this week by about 15. So that's one positive for him this week.
Let's go.
But looking around the league, let's take a look at Ron versus Salty Mango. 177 to 103. Salty Mango gets his first win of the year. Great week from him. A bunch of guys that I've not been super high on, like AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, all put up very good numbers. So he's got to be happy about that one.
Yeah, no, I think you even said last week, like he seems like a type of team that's going to score 80 or 160 every week. And then you get the total boom week after the down week for him. So great week for Salty Mango. He's finally in the win column along with me. So we'll see if we can both keep this momentum going.
Absolutely. And I did want to call out Keenan Allen. That's looking like a big steal. I forget who has Ladd McConkey. Oh, it's Barrett's team. So we'll come back to that next matchup. But yeah, really, really good win for Salty. He's got to be pretty happy about that. And then Ron, I don't know. I'm not too concerned about his team. Kamara only puts up 6. I do expect that to be a lot better. Maybe a little foreshadowing here. I do like Alvin Kamara this week, but very concerning. I mean, they got murdered by the Seahawks, who are not an exceptional team, and they basically gave up. I think Seattle put up like 38 at halftime and basically didn't do anything. So that could be a concern for Kamara moving forward. Gentry, another guy, a little concern there. Like I think you mentioned it last week, the beginning of his running back schedule is very tough for him. So, I mean, he is still a rookie at the end of the day and expect to get that volume. And then I'll last call out I'll make is Puka Nakua. This dude's looking like a number one potential overall wide receiver this year. So got to be happy about that. Ron does move to 1 and 2, so he's a little worried there, I guess. But that's all I got for those two teams.
Yep, I don't think I have anything else to add. I mean, a lot of teams are 1 and 2 right now. We'll take a look at the standings in a second, but I feel like there's no really like true front runner so far this year. I feel like Cole's team last year was totally crushing it out of the gate last year. I feel like this year we've definitely got a tighter race, and I think we've even got a matchup that we have last week that was for first place as of right now that we'll get into in a second. But real quick with Tanisha's team, I guess like you said, shout out for Keenan Allen. I was kind of hating on that pick being a 10th round pick. This was a guy who wasn't even signed until the preseason to a team, so I really didn't think he was going to do much. But man, he seemed like he was ready to play when he got to LA, and he seems to still have that great connection with Herbert. So I was definitely sleeping on that.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Well, kind of with that same thought there, let's take a look at Barrett's team versus Nichols' team. Nichols barely squeaks by 98.42 to 96.22. Not really great weeks for either one of these teams, but man, Nichols has got to be super pumped, barely squeaking it out, and he moves to 3-0. So very exciting for him. But one call out while we're on the Keenan Allen train, Barrett's team. He's got Ladd McConkey, a guy that I have been backing when we've been talking about Barrett's team. I'm super concerned about him. I mean, Hampton is going to get a lot more carries, and I think they're going to lean on him a little bit more. But then Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson, I mean, they're both doing phenomenal. And Ladd gets 4 catches for 41 yards. Like, I don't know. What do you make of Ladd McConkey right now?
I don't know. It's just weird to see. I feel like maybe I shouldn't say weird, but it's definitely been maybe different than people expected from the beginning of the year. Like thinking Ladd McConkey was just going to get a crazy big target share, but they bring in Keenan Allen, and then Quentin Johnson kind of comes onto the scene, and they're able to spread the ball out a lot more. So maybe we were just sleeping on kind of the target competition around Ladd McConkey a little bit. I'm sure no one was really high on Quentin Johnston. And like I said, I wasn't high on Keenan Allen either when they signed him. So seems like they're eating into Ladd McConkey's work. I still think he's a phenomenal player, but yeah, he might not be the fantasy asset that we thought he was at the beginning of the year for sure.
Yeah, I kind of almost think like his ceiling is more towards like 20 points if he gets a touchdown. Coming into the season, like it's like, all right, yeah, Ladd can go for 30 at any time. At this very point right now, I just don't really see him breaking 20, and that's definitely a big concern for Barrett. Another concern, Drake London, guy that he drafted probably, I'd assume, in the second round, and just puts up 10.5. He's put up 13 and a half and 6 points, so not looking really good for him. But other than that, yeah, just a tough loss for Barrett. 96 to 98. Just Saquon only gets 10. I guess good news for him. JSN puts up 20. And then Javonte Williams, a guy I think we both did not like, puts up 12. He fumbled once, but I mean, I guess that's decent. So I don't know. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to touch on these two. You got any other comments?
No, I don't really think so. I guess shout out to Nichols for the Cam Scatabo draft pick. And
Yeah,
he's going to be a really solid pick with the Tracy injury. So even before the Tracy injury, I think he was definitely establishing himself as maybe the 1A in New York, and definitely seeming to get those valuable touches at the goal line and with the receiving work. So now with Tracy out, it seems like he'll get an even bigger share of both those workloads as well as like some between the tackle work. So I think he's going to be a fantastic pick for Nichols, and should be a very viable RB1/2 kind of over these next few weeks while Tracy's out.
great call out. Yeah, I said both these Giants running backs were bad picks when Nichols took them. Did not have anything good to say about Scatabo. So really good play. He's definitely could be a starter moving forward for him. And overall, I mean, last week I think too we said how like Derrick Henry got 2 points, and Nichols has got to be super happy with that. Getting the win. He puts up 10.7 this week, and Nichols continues to squeak by. So shout out to Nichols, 3-0.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, if you look at the standings, maybe I'm foreshadowing a little bit, but yeah, he's up there at 3-0 with Dean's team, the only undefeated teams. Dean's got 415 points and Nichols has 307, which is good for second to last in the league. So we'll see if his luck can continue, or maybe his team just flips the switch and continues to win, but putting up more points.
And I will say this has been due for Nichols. I know there's been a couple seasons he's been very high up in points scored and barely missed the playoffs. So really good start for him. probably due for some losses if he keeps this low scoring total, but things are looking up. Got to be happy at 3-0.
Yep.
Well, speaking of, I think we're at our last matchup. Speaking of teams that you don't think are running away with it as our clear winner, Dean's team, man. I'm really liking Dean's team. You called it from the beginning. I agreed. Didn't have it as high as you, but let's start off with my guy JT. I mean, this guy's looking like the number one running back if McCaffrey or James Cook don't get it. But gotta be super happy with him. 33 fantasy points in a game that the Colts were leading the entire time. So you gotta be super pumped with that. And then pretty much everybody else just really just put up what they were expected to do. Take out Herbert, who finished 4 points below, and Jefferson 7 points below his projection. But then everybody else, I mean, super consistent, putting up a little bit higher than their projections. And I mean, Dean's team 143. You got to be really happy with that every week.
Yeah, no, his team's looking fantastic. Yeah, maybe I should give him his flowers a little bit. Definitely the best team so far through 3 weeks. Just maybe not replicating the level of dominance Ron was at the beginning of last year.
Very true.
But yeah, his running backs are definitely kind of rounding into form. I think that was kind of my main concern with him at the beginning of the year was running back depth behind Jonathan Taylor and Kyron Williams. And now he's got Quinshon Judkins kind of taking things over in Cleveland, which that was definitely a miss for me. I kind of thought he was going to miss some more time in this, or at least take some more time to get integrated after he came back. But he seems to not be missing a beat at all and kind of taking over this backfield. And then J.K. Dobbins as well. R.J. Harvey is just not really that involved. He's getting some like a handful of like carries to try to rip off some big plays, but he's not going to be a guy, it seems like, that's just taking a bunch of work kind of between the tackles at the goal line. That seems to all just be J.K. Dobbins. So that seems like that's going to be a great pick as well. And that makes 4 pretty startable running backs for him for the remainder of the year. And I think when you have that, that's usually a pretty good recipe with the other weapons that he has across his team.
Definitely. Yeah. And I guess 2 more quick call outs. Igbuka, wide receiver. Evans goes down. Godwin still hurt. Igbuka looks like a total steal and potentially a number 1 wide receiver with a pretty good quarterback thrown to him. So that looks great. And then Terry McLaurin on the bench with Jaden Daniels as well. I do expect Terry to be pretty decent when Daniels comes back. So Dean's team's looking really good. All I got to say on that. I guess on the other side, tough loss for Zach. He is 2-1 though. But putting up 136, almost 137. Never like to take a loss there. But he did have some good things happen for him. Lamar is going to be a very big piece to his team this year. But I guess so. I'll start with Montgomery. He had him on his bench this year. I hope I'm wrong for Zach's sake. I feel like Monty will be in the same boat as my JMO situation. If he starts him, he's going to get like 8 points. If he puts him on his bench, he's going to go off for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know. That could be a tough start sit for him each week, but he did have James Conner just go on the IR, which is super unfortunate. Guy that I really liked. He wasn't putting up great numbers this year, but with him on the IR, that is going to hurt Zach's team a little bit. And then the other guy that went off on his bench, Hunter Henry, 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's not going to happen every week. I was super happy with his pick with Engram, and Engram, I don't even know if he played this past week, but he ended up starting Goddard, who did get a 33-yard touchdown catch. But Hunter Henry's probably going to give him some tough start situations as well.
Yeah, you want to hear some funny stuff about Hunter Henry while you brought it up? So
yeah, what you got?
I guess 2 weeks ago, they scored like 30-plus points or whatever against the Dolphins. He had 3 targets, 1 reception, 9 yards. And then they score 14 points against Pittsburgh. Yeah, and like you said, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, you're never going to be able to decide like, oh, this is going to be the Hunter Henry week or this is not going to be the Hunter Henry week. So, yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable with him in as tight end. And I guess he's also got Dallas Goedert. So he's got a little bit of, and Isaiah Likely and Evan Engram. So apparently he has some things going on at tight end. He's got a lot of guys there. One of them's definitely got to emerge as the guy there, right?
That is a hilarious thought. He's got 4 tight ends. Is that the max you can have? I'm pretty sure that's the max tight ends you might be able to have. Maybe that's just like quarterbacks or something. I don't know.
I was going to say you can set maxes. I don't know what we have in there, but yeah, he's probably flirting with the maximum if we do have one in there. Yeah, the only thing to add on Zach's team, I feel like this is going to be a scary like playoff team, I guess. I'm really not like loving the running back depth, I guess, with James Conner out. I mean, you got JCM kind of stepping in as the RB3 now, and then I don't even know who's the RB4 here. Najee just tore his ACL, and then Tajee Spears on IR. So it seems like he might have some work to do to beef up that running back room a little bit. But with guys like Lamar, and if Devon Achane's healthy, Amon-Ra, even if Tyreek Hill can get things going, like these are guys that can put up massive fantasy point values in any given week. So I think this could be a good team come playoff time. But definitely still a leg below Dean's team, it seems like. And Dean was the one that ended up taking this one home to secure first place as of right now.
Yeah, shout out to Achane, a guy that I didn't necessarily hate, but I was worried about his health. If this guy stays healthy, he's going to be a great running back for you. And from the looks of it, he definitely needs it from the running back position.
Yep.
Well, that rounds out our matchups this week. We'll take a look at the standings. Like we mentioned, we got Dean in first place, and then followed behind with Nichols, both at 3-0. Then the 2-1 teams, just me and Yost right now. You mentioned it earlier. We have 5 teams at 1-2, and then Elgin's sitting down there at 0-3. Any call-outs you got to make from the standings here?
No, I don't think so. Other than this is definitely a big week for all the 1 and 2 teams. I mean, difference between 2-2 and 1 and 3 is going to be massive with all these teams kind of bunched up together. So hopefully I can get a dub this week and continue the momentum. I'm sure all the other teams are thinking the same thing down there.
Absolutely. Crucial upcoming weeks coming for a lot of teams here. But I guess moving forward, let's take a look and recap our love hates from last week. You went 2-1, so I'll let you start.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess the 2 guys on my team ended up hitting this week. Loved Ricky Pearsall at wide receiver 41 against the Cardinals, and he finished at wide receiver 11. It didn't even end up getting in the end zone, so he could have had a massive day if he could have found a touchdown out there as well. And then I love Jordan Mason at running back 22 against Cincinnati. He finished as the running back 7. I felt like it was just disrespectful having him at running back 22 against the Bengals. So that one felt like the lockiest of the 3, I guess. As for one that wasn't a lock, Ramondre Stevenson, loving him at running back 30 against Pittsburgh. Yeah, this guy had 4 carries, I think, and fumbled it twice. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not mad like long term because I got Travion Henderson in this league, so I'll be excited to see if he can kind of cut into the workload after his shit fest out there. But yeah, obviously didn't hit the RB30 mark, and he finished at RB50. So 2-1 on the week, now up to 2-4 overall. So we'll see if we can keep the momentum going. Maybe be over 500 after next week. We'll see.
I was going to say, really, really happy week for you. The 2 guys that you had on your team both hit, both great weeks, and then you called it. You're like, hey, I don't care if Ramondre Stevenson sucks it up. And he took that to heart. I mean, he had one of the worst outings you could possibly have. So can't be mad at that. Good week for you, 2-1. Not so good week for me. I went 1-2. Loved McMillan at wide receiver 21. He finished wide receiver 47. We'll see what happens later with him. But also hated Kyron Williams at RB14. I called it. He scored a touchdown. He was probably going to beat this. He did get a receiving touchdown and ran for 90 yards, which I wasn't expecting. So that's definitely a loss for me. Finished at RB9. And then hated Chase Brown at running back 12. He finished at RB43. So that was at least one good call. Went 1-2 this week, 2-4 on the season. Not 11 where I'm sitting, but we'll see if we can turn around this week.
Yep, let's do it. All right, I guess you just want to get into it. You want to go ahead and lead us off with your first one?
Yeah, let's start with my guy, David Montgomery at running back 28 versus Cleveland. A little bit of a risky play here. Cleveland does have a very good run defense, but I expect the Lions to keep this offense rolling. Monty's coming off a great week last week. You know, he was still splitting carries with Gibbs, which is expected, but I think he finished with like 150 yards. Did have an insane like 70-yard run that definitely boosted that. But at running back 28, I'm perfectly fine taking him as a love here, especially with just keeping in mind, I think the Lions offense continued to dominate and they'll be heavily relying on the run game. So happy to take him at running back 28.
Yeah, I love this pick. Obviously, he's my guy. I got 2 things for you, I guess. So I was looking at the over-under for this game, 44.5. So are you liking the over, I guess, in this game? Like Lions keep the offense rolling and kind of hitting the over?
I don't know about that. I wouldn't say I'm leaning either way. I think this Browns offense is going to struggle to put up points. I do like Judkins this week. just being able to run it. But I mean, if they're down, maybe he's not getting that many carries. So I don't know. That's a tough question. The Lions could easily put up 44 on their own, like we've seen these past couple weeks. But the Cleveland's D is decent, and their offense is not great. So I'm going to stay away from that total.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious because I actually like the under this week. It's not going to be one of my best bets, but you love David Montgomery here, so I think that might kind of coincide with the over. He usually pops off like when the totals are high for the game, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, I do really like the Monty pick. I feel like they're definitely giving him the ball, and this could be a good game script for him against the Browns, even if it's not a high score. So we'll see if he can get in the end zone a time or two for you.
Absolutely, I'm open for it.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess the other thing I was going to say was I just love watching this guy carry the football. I just had to say that real quick. I mean, if this guy was a little bit faster, like he would literally be the best running back in the league. Like watching him run between blockers and stuff, like it's just poetry in motion. So shout out Dave Montgomery. He's a beast, man.
Hey, you got some good things going there at the running back position down in Detroit. So
yeah, dude. If you gave David Montgomery Jahmyr Gibbs speed, we might be looking at the best running back of all time. So
totally agree.
All right. Well, over to my first love hate of the week. I'm going to be loving 3 running backs this week. All actually 3. I was going to say 3 rookie running backs. I guess they're all 3 younger running backs. And we'll start with the non-rookie, Trey Benson. I love him at RB2 against the Seahawks. So like we already said, obviously Connor's going to be out, and I expect Trey Benson kind of just to assume the workhorse role here. They have Amani DiMercado, I believe, is their primary backup. So it's not really someone like I'm super concerned with kind of eating into the role. He'll obviously get some work or whatever backup they kind of use out there, but I expect him to get a huge portion of the work. And then as for the matchup, like the Seahawks have given up the 12th most points per game to running backs so far this year. So it's not like a bad matchup or anything. And you're getting a guy who's probably going to get a lot of volume. So I think running back 22 is just a little low for me in that regard. I really don't have much more to add than that.
Yeah, I'm honestly not going to add much to any of your 3 picks. I love all 3 as well. I guess the only thing that I'm going to say is I'm glad you took Trey Benson because I do not have success on running backs in any sort of play on Thursday night games. So we'll leave it at that. RB22 definitely seems a little low to me. So
yeah.
hoping the Cardinals offense can figure it out a little bit, but I like the pick.
Yeah, not a huge fan of their offense there, but yeah, we'll see if I can fare any better with these Thursday night plays here. Maybe if I don't, we'll just have to stay away from them completely.
There we go. Well, I'll go to my second one. I already said that Tommy's got 3 loves. I'm actually going to have 3 loves too, but my second love is Alvin Kamara at running back 19 against Buffalo. This is a little bit scary just in the fact that we saw what happened last week with the Saints, got murdered by the Seahawks. And they basically just gave up. He finished with like 6 points. But I'm kind of hoping they play the Bills this week. I don't know if I mentioned that. Kind of hoping they can keep it somewhat close, kind of similar to what Miami did on Thursday night against the Bills this past week. Just keep it close. And I mean, this 19th running back spot, Alvin Kamara could easily hit that in the first half. He had 1 catch last week. Don't expect that to happen again. I mean, he gets 4 catches in the first half for 30 yards plus some rushing yards, maybe a touchdown. I can see it happening. Running backs against Buffalo have been able to do pretty well. So I do like the matchup. Just very concerned of the Saints getting murdered again. So that's the risk there. But I'm happy to take him at running back 19.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see how this pick misses as long as they can keep the game close and like Kamara stays on the field. I mean, he should get a boatload of targets. I mean, I don't know if you specifically named like Devon Achane from the Miami game, but he had so many targets that game.
Yep.
And catches. I don't think it really translated to yards or anything, but still just getting that reception floor, I mean, should be enough to get him over that RB19 mark.
Exactly.
All right, well, moving over to my second love, another running back. We're moving over to rookie here, a guy who I hated at the beginning of the year and I showed some love to earlier in this episode, Cam Skattebo. Dynasty owner here, so I don't want to come off as a Cam Skattebo hater. I do think he can be a really solid receiving back. I think I said that in the first episode, and I think that's just what we're seeing kind of in the NFL. He's already doing a great job getting involved kind of in the receiving game, like I said, as well as on the goal line, which are those valuable touches you want in fantasy. Obviously, Tyrone Tracy got hurt, and in this past game, I think he got more than twice as many snaps as Singletary did. So maybe he's not going to get that full workhorse role we're talking about, like with maybe what Trey Benson's going to get in Arizona. But it seems like he's at least going to be the 1A in this offense if he wasn't already before the Tracy injury. And I think this is only going to boost him up even higher. I guess the only thing I want to caution at is I know Jackson Dart's supposed to be taking over for the Giants this week, and I know he can move a lot better than kind of what they've had with Russell Wilson. We've seen him kind of come out in packages and specifically run the ball. So I'm curious if that takes away from Skattebo's like goal line work, or like maybe he doesn't get as many dump offs because Dart can run it a little better. So a little bit of a caution there. I'm not sure how the Jackson Dart QB change is going to affect things, but regardless, I'm still going to like Cam Scatabo at RB26 this week.
Dude, I was gonna say running back 26. I was like, man, I love this guy. And then you brought out that call out. I really haven't thought about that. I mean, that's a very good point, especially at like the 1 yard line. Like, is Dart gonna sneak this in or run it from the shotgun and just take it himself? Not real sure. But then with his running ability, might limit like some of the dump offs to Scatabo. But great call up. Nothing more to add. I like him at 26. So
yeah, I will say I'm not super concerned. I did just want to call that out because it is a valid like concern to have. But Jackson Dart definitely still has a good arm. Like I think he'll be a guy that tries to hang in the pocket. It seems like from what I see, I don't think he's going to be a guy that just tries to like scramble out like first instinct or anything like that. So if that's the case, I think things will still bode well for Cam Scatabo. But like you said, I think they're going to be a lot more prone to doing QB sneaks or things like that near the goal line, or even some just like QB powers, things like that. So wouldn't be surprised if the Giants start implementing more of that. And that's obviously going to hurt Scatabo. Hopefully not this week, though.
Yeah. Very, very good points there. But I guess to round out mine, we're staying with the risky plays here. Wouldn't be surprised if I go 0-3, actually 1-2. So Monty's an automatic lock. But I'm gonna love McMillan at 17 against the Patriots. Pats have given up the 5th most yards to receivers this year. They've been a team that I've liked and just have continued to disappoint me. But back to McMillan, I've loved this guy from the start. It's been 3 weeks and he's looked very poor. But I'm gonna stay with him. 17 is a relatively high number for wide receivers because I mean you can see like Trey Tucker, for example, last week, just popping out of nowhere and scoring 41 fantasy points, I think he had. So it's definitely a risky play, but I'm going to keep backing him. And if he doesn't get it done this week, then sayonara, McMillan. I'm not taking you again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really do like this play this week. And I think one of the things I'm going to talk about a little bit later is like the over in that game, which I kind of like this week. So I really do like this pick. I guess the one thing I would bring up is that Christian Gonzalez, he's kind of had an injury like throughout the first few weeks. It's been kind of like mysterious, it seems like, not a lot of information on it. So if he comes back this week, that could kind of hurt Ted McMillan if he's a full go. But if he's not, I really do love this pick for McMillan. And I think this could be a huge breakout game for him.
That's what we're hoping for. We'll see.
Yep. All right. So our last one of the week, and let me know what you think about this rule, I guess. So let's say we take someone like under 30, like, so I'm taking a guy at 35. Should we say they have to finish like at least at 30, like for it to count? Like, so it's not too cheap or anything like that.
I really like that idea. I was going to say like running back 35, that's relatively easy to hit. But I mean, if he was at like 25, I'd still love him. So 30, okay. I feel like 30 is a good realistic place to put the win/loss.
Okay, yeah. So if we pick anyone lower than that, we'll just call it they have to finish at least at 30. So with all that being said, I'm going to love TreVeyon Henderson this week at RB35 against Carolina. I already kind of shared a lot of the information I'm going to say here. So obviously the 3 fumbles last week combined between Stevenson and Gibson should allow for him to get some more work. He was actually getting more work near the end of the game. I know they were trailing, so 2 or 4 minute drill, like he's probably getting a lot of the work. So that makes sense, but I'm hoping it was more or partially because they're kind of phasing those guys out and more phasing TreVeyon Henderson in. So I guess we'll have to see what that looks like next game. But I really think that could be the case. And then as for the matchup, I think the Panthers have actually done like fairly well against running backs so far this year. I think they're kind of middle of the pack in terms of fantasy points. But historically, they've never been really scary against the run. And when I say historically, I mean like the last few years. So I think this is probably a great matchup for a breakout to happen. And I think based on last week's events, I think it's a prime time for him to be able to get on the field and get some fantasy points. So like I said, I'll have him in my lineup this week, and I'm going to love him as well on the podcast. So we're doubling down on TreVeyon.
Absolutely, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 10 running back this week. The only thing that I can see hurting him is maybe Drake May's rushing ability and maybe May scoring a rushing touchdown. But yeah, running back 35, totally love it. I got nothing more to add there. He's a start for sure this week and should be moving forward.
Yep, nothing more to say. I think we got a 6-0 week on our hands this week.
I love the sounds of that. Well, I think we got trivia up next. Is that correct?
Yes. All right, let's move it into trivia, and I'll be the one asking the question, or I guess I should say questions today. So we got a little bit of a different format today. So usually we do like the top 10 lists, I feel like, but today I've got 5 multiple choice questions. So kind of like a gauntlet style. We'll see how many of the multiple choice questions Colin's able to get. So they're going to be on stats from last season, I think, like I told you at the beginning of this episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a category. So for example, like it could be, let me get one that's not on here. So let's say maybe like passing touchdowns. So I'd be like, all right, I'm going to name 4 quarterbacks and you have to tell me which one didn't throw for 20 passing touchdowns last year. It's basically kind of the premise of it. So that's not one of them, but that's kind of the whole idea. So I don't think there's anything else to add. You ready to roll?
Let's roll.
All right. So our first one's going to be passing yards last year. So I believe there were only 3 quarterbacks last year to throw for 4,500 yards. So tell me which one of these 3 did not throw for at least 4,500. So it's going to be Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, or Baker Mayfield.
Burrow.
Burrow?
Is it
No,
Burrow?
Burrow led the league last year.
Did he really? Okay, I was like, all right. So I think Goff did, and I think Darnold did as well. So I'm gonna go Baker then.
Baker actually was right at 4,500. So Darnold was the one that didn't get it. So it wasn't too much of a trick there. Burrow was up at 49.18. Goff at 48.29. Mayfield 4,500. Darnold 43.19.
Tough start for me.
All right. So
I was like, all right, the easy answer seems like Burrow should be automatic. Yeah, he led the league. I'm an idiot. All right, next question.
Don't give those too much thought. I definitely did some where like they're the obvious answer and some where it's kind of tricky. So don't put too much thought into it if one of them sounds like weird, I guess.
I gotcha.
It still could be the answer, I should say.
I gotcha.
Okay, so next one, we're going to stick with quarterbacks here. So 3 of these quarterbacks threw at least 15 interceptions last year. Tell me which one did not. So it's between Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Anthony Richardson, and Geno Smith.
Would it be? I mean, did Richardson play enough? Say it again. Richardson, Baker, Geno, and Kirk.
And Kirk Cousins, yeah.
Oh, man. I feel like Baker did. I'm going to go. No, let's go Geno. Geno did not.
You had it at first. Anthony Richardson.
Richardson, damn it.
To get there. Yeah, he only had 12 last year.
Didn't play enough. Okay.
No, that was great. You were on the right path. I almost like cracked a smile when you started talking about Anthony Richardson. I was trying to hold it in and not give away.
I wasn't even looking at you. Damn it. I should have stuck with my gut.
No, you're all good. Yeah, like I said, I think these might be kind of tough. Like, even though they're multiple choice, like, I mean, these aren't any stats you're just going to know, like, right off the top of your head or anything.
No, but yeah, these are fun, though.
All right, so moving on to the third one here, rush attempts. So we're looking for which one of these running backs did not have at least 300 carries last year on the ground. So the answers were between our Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, and Kyron Williams.
300 attempts?
Yeah.
Najee had 300 attempts?
I said which one doesn't?
I know. Oh my God. All right, Najee, Taylor. All right, we're going Najee.
That's correct. Najee Harris only had 263 last year, and each of the other 3 were just over 300.
Dang. Yeah, that's still surprising that Najee had 263.
Yep, I have it written down. He was 7th last year in rushing attempts. So way up there. But yeah, 6th was Jacobs, and he was over 300. So pretty big gap between them, between 6 and 7. Oh, didn't mean to say 6, 7 there. All right, whatever. Moving on to rush TDs. Moving on to rush TDs. So we're looking for which one of these running backs did not have at least 15 rush touchdowns last year. The answers were going between our Saquon Barkley, James Cook, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Josh Jacobs.
Damn. I kind of want to go Saquon just with how many touchdowns Hurts had. Is it Saquon?
It's Saquon. There you go. Back to 2-2. Saquon only with 13, Jacobs with 15, and then James Cook and Gibbs both with 16 apiece. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have put James Cook in there. I knew you knew he had 15 plus last year.
Maybe he had a ton.
All right, so this one's for all the marbles here. For the winning record on our first gauntlet here, we're looking at receptions now for wide receivers. So which one of these 4 did not have at least 110 receptions last year? And sorry, I said wide receivers. I guess we're just looking at pass catchers because the answers are Brock Bowers, Justin Jefferson, Trey McBride, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'm fairly confident Bowers did. I'm kind of confident McBride did. St. Brown finished as like the third wide receiver, and then as the fourth JJ.
Yep.
Dude, let's go. That sounds so bad. Let's go JJ.
That's correct. There you go.
Let's go.
3 in a row
Let's
to
go.
end it. Justin Jefferson
All right.
only with 103 receptions last year. McBride 111, Bowers 112, and Amon Goat St. Brown 115.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. Feel a little bit better there. I should have stuck with freaking Anthony Richardson.
There you go. Yeah, great finish there. Yeah, the Burrow guess on the first one, not going to lie. Tough guess there, but great read on there. I mean, you should have had the last 4. I mean, that would have been a heck of a finish there.
Yeah, we might have to edit out Burrow or something. I don't think I don't have the ability to do that, I don't think. But yeah, that was a tough one. It's all right. I'll get flamed in the comments.
Hey, that's all good. Hey, I told you we were looking for 3 out of 5 before this episode, and that's what we got. So nothing to be ashamed of there.
There we go. Well, good questions. That was fun.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll have to bring that back in future episodes. We'll see what people in the comments think.
I like it. Yeah, leave or subscribe and leave a comment. Appreciate it. But I guess our last segment here, correct me if I'm wrong, but best bets?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You want to kick us off on recapping best bets?
Not really, but I will. So 0-2 this last week with the best bets, down 2 units on the week, but still up 0.3 units on the year after going 2-0 last week. Tough break for the Bills Packers -6.5 parlay. The Bills still were able to cover, even though they didn't really play their best game or cover the actual spread. So we were going into Sunday still alive on that bet. Packers, though, blew a 10-point lead to the Browns late and ended up losing that one. So obviously did not cover the 6.5 there.
Sorry, Lauren's leaving.
You're all good. So yeah, as I was saying, for the Packers, though, unfortunate loss for them, but definitely a fortunate loss for the Lions fans, I guess. So shout out Lauren. She just came in there. Big win for the Lions with the win last night against the Ravens, as well as the Packers losing. So now we're tied for the division lead again here. And yeah, we'll see if maybe the Lions keep rolling. I hope the Packers keep losing, but maybe a little foreshadowing. Maybe they can just cover for me this week and then get back to losing after that.
Yeah, we'll take one cover this week and then they can lose. But.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. And then my other bet, Texans money line didn't hit. They lost to the Jags. This game was absolutely brutal, like just a terrible offensive game on both sides. A long Nico Collins touchdown, I believe, was able to kind of keep this thing close for the Texans, but they weren't able to pull it out in the end. Like I said, I could have seen the Jaguars winning that one, but I really think the Texans should have been favored even being on the road. So not mad at the process there. Just Jaguars were able to pull that ugly one out.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the Texans just freaking suck. We didn't expect to see that. So unlucky there, but I like your plays later today. So hopefully you can bounce back. You're still up 0.3 units on the year. So can't be too upset. We'll go into mine real quick. I had Jaylen Warren over 18.5 receiving yards. That was, I think he had around 30. So we'll take the win there. Colts -2.5. Don't know why I moved them down to 2.5. Totally should have just kept them where they were at, like you said, along with the Bills money line. So that cashed for us as well. And then got a little unlucky here with Mahomes over 5.5 attempts. I don't know if I want to say unlucky. At the time it came out, it was at -114. I was like, yep, love this. Towards the end of the week, over 5.5 was like +120, and then on some books it was like over 4.5 at like -130. I think you actually took over 4.5 at -130, and he finished at 5 attempts. So you were able to get the win there. Did not get it officially for the best bets, and yeah, just an unlucky line movement there. We'll keep an eye on that, but 1-2-1, 0.86 units gained this week, and we're sitting at +3.36 on the year. So we'll take it and move on to next week.
Yeah, dude, I forgot to tell you, and I didn't even realize you had the over 5.5 until I came in here, like to see like which ones hit or not. Because I texted you, and I was like, "Oh, let's go, Mahomes hit." Like I didn't even realize it. Like he only had like 2 carries with a couple minutes left in the game or whatever on Sunday Night Football. But then he ended up getting over 4.5, but not over 5.5. So yeah, that sucks. Sorry about that text. I thought we were all on 4.5, but apparently not.
Hey, nah. I've made some bad texts like that too. So not a problem there. We'll keep an eye on these rushing attempts because I still do like some of these rushing quarterbacks to hit their attempts, but don't have any of those this week. So we'll move on. But let you kick it off with your first best bet this week.
Yeah, so I'll keep this one short. Same bet as last week. I'm running it back. Bills and Packers both -6.5 parlay. Bills are playing the Saints. They're like 16-point favorites, so that one shouldn't be a concern. Knock on wood, I guess. Packers -6.5. Totally. Oh, they're playing the Cowboys. I was totally blanking for a second. I don't think that should be a problem with CeeDee Lamb looking to be out. I think that's really going to be a huge hindrance on the Cowboys offense to couple that with their already horrible defense. So I was saying I think the Packers should have no trouble covering the 6.5 against the Browns. The Browns are just a really great defense, and I also saw some rumblings about some suspicious weird things on the field that may have had some betting implications. So think of that as you want. Maybe there were some weird things going on there. So didn't hit last week, but I feel like they should have a big bounce back game. Whatever happened there in Cleveland, I feel like their offense should bounce back and have a big day against this crappy Dallas D. So I'm rolling with that parlay again. Hopefully it doesn't burn me. Plus 123 this week as well. So getting a little bit of plus money there.
Yeah, got some plus money there, which you always love to see. Packers, I mean, you're hoping for them to keep running up the score so Dak can keep throwing to George Pickens. So really like the ideology there. And then Bills, and yeah, I also took them -6.5 in my first play. I think they're going to absolutely run over them. Hoping Kamara for my sake can stay in the game a little bit longer, but I think they're like 16-point favorites or something. You might have mentioned it, but love that. I guess I'll take that into my first play. I parlayed the Bills -6.5 with Broncos and Lions money line. Broncos play the Bengals. I was considering taking the Bengals team total under at 17.5. But I was like, you know what? Let's just go with the Broncos. Great defense against a very struggling offense with the Bengals after what we saw last week. I mean, they do have a ton of great weapons, but man, they were not looking good last week with Jake Browning. So I'm expecting them to bounce back. That's why I didn't take the under 17.5, but expecting this Broncos offense to kind of beat up on the Bengals defense and get the win there. I think they play Monday night. And then the Lions, they play the Browns. I see no reason the Browns should win this game. So we're going to rock with that. It's only -104, but some pretty heavy favorites here that I like to get the job done.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, my best bet, my first one actually almost was like Broncos money line, Lions money line, Bills money line, Packers money line, like something along those lines.
Yeah.
So it seems like you got something pretty similar here, not including the Packers, which shout out, that might just be a smart play at this point. So obviously not going to hate on this pick at all.
Yeah, we'll see how it happens. I think I did this a couple times last year where I had like 3 money lines and didn't turn out the greatest for me, but I really like these plays right now. So we're going to see what happens.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of money lines, I think that takes me right into my second pick here. I'm just taking the Bears money line at the Raiders. They're -102 right now on the road. I really just think that the Bears are a better team than the Raiders right now. I feel like I don't have a lot more to add than that. We just saw the Bears offense kind of have their coming out party this past week against Dallas. I did say they are not a very good defense, but I don't think the Raiders are really anything to shake at either. So I think the Bears offense will continue to roll after their coming out party, like I said last week. And I just don't think the Raiders are really that great. They seem to struggle a lot through 3 weeks, despite Geno kind of having some impressive passing totals. So yeah, I'm just going to roll with Bears money line this week. I think they should be kind of favored a little more than this, albeit on the road.
Yeah, Caleb looked great last week, and Geno looked really horrible. So can't fault you for these. I'll be joining you on this one. Really got not much more to add. I agree. The Bears should be favored. I mean, the way that the odds are, they think on a neutral site that the Bears would be a 3-point favorite. So I kind of agree with that, but I think there's some value there. So I like it, especially coming off that great week.
Yep.
Last or second play for me, we're gonna go Amari and Hampton over his rushing yards. I'm expecting it to be around 70. So we'll see what it is there. As long as it's not in the 80s, I'm gonna take this as a 1.5 unit play. The Giants have given up the second most rushing yards this year to opposing running backs. And I just expect the Chargers to be winning in this game, and Hampton, now with Najee out, to just be getting that workload. He's coming off a massive game last week. Was looking for that breakout after some slowish starts, but he's been getting the workload, been getting a ton of carries, even in those first 2 games that he didn't do too well. So expect that to continue. and I can see him going over 100 yards this week.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I have anything more to add. Yeah, we'll see if he can continue to be a little more efficient as he kind of gets more games under his belt. And yeah, as long as he can rip off a couple of solid runs, I mean, this should be no problem with the workload he's set to get here against the Giants.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so my last pick of the week, and I actually haven't taken this one yet because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to take. You were talking about team totals earlier. I guess I didn't find any of them when I was looking on the sports books earlier, so haven't taken a bet here at all. So I'm just going to do something along the lines of the Patriots team total over, like the game over, something like that. I really like kind of the over for the Patriots offense in general. It was one of my favorite bets kind of this last week, despite not being a best bet. And they had 4 fumbles and a pick in the red zone. So, I mean, they should have had a huge day and kind of just kept throwing the ball away. And I didn't even mention one of their fumbles was literally on the 1-yard line. So, I mean, they had so many backbreakers kind of getting close to the end zone and turning the ball over. So if they can just clean a little bit of that up and cough, get Ramondre Stevenson out of the lineup and Travion Henderson in, I think this should clean up some of that. They should have no problem hitting whatever their over is for this game. And I also kind of just like the game over as well at 44.5 was the one I saw, but the Panthers kind of scare me a little bit. So maybe I'll just lean them a little more towards the team total over, but I'll probably just take whatever line it's set at, not all for one of the two as my last play this week.
Yeah, man, you know it. I'm all over the Patriots. They've been very disappointing to me so far. So I'm hoping they turn it around for you. But yeah, I'm a Drake May guy. Love Travion Henderson. So love whatever their team total's at. I know when I was looking, they only had 3 games with any sort of props on. And that Bengals game was one of them for whatever reason. It was the Thursday night game. We do have I think it's in London. Where is the game? The Steelers and Vikings play somewhere. We got a 9:30 a.m. game this week. So just a call out there. But then yeah, there was one other. The Bengals were the other game that had it. So anyways, like it. We'll see what it is, and we'll see if we make that an official play.
Yep, go Pats.
Yeah, go Pats. The last thing for me, so this is very dependent on Mac Jones playing. If Mac Jones starts over Brock Purdy, if Brock Purdy's still on the IL or IR or whatever it is, then I'm going to put 1.5 units on McCaffrey's receptions. Don't care what it's at. He had 15 targets last week for 10 catches. Mac is going to continue to dump it off to him. If Purdy plays, I still like this play. We'll see what the receptions are. I'll probably still take it, but will not make it an official best bet on the podcast. One other thing, or a couple other things that I wanted to mention, just some things that I'll be looking out for, will be Quinshon Judkins rush yards and Scatabo rush yards and receiving yards. I think they might be a little bit lowly priced at the beginning of the week. I think you can maybe get some value there. Like say they open up at 50 yards, for example, by the end of the week, I think it might be up to 60. So just keep an eye on that. And then also Kamara receptions could be a little bit lower, and you could have better odds after seeing what happened last week with him only getting 1 reception. Already mentioned it earlier, if they stay in the game, he should get a lot of receptions here. So just something to keep an eye on, something I'll be looking and making some bets later down the road, but no official plays for the podcast on those.
Yep. Yeah, I was just going to touch on that McCaffrey one. Yeah, I think that's going to have to be a play probably every week for me as well, just as over on receptions. It seems like it's a great play right now, especially with Mac Jones in the lineup. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't think I've looked into anything on the Purdy injury, so I don't know who's supposed to play quarterback for them. But, yeah, I think if Purdy's still in the lineup, I'm sure he was checking it down to him as well at the beginning of the year when he was playing. So,
Agreed. We'll see. Well, I think that wraps it up. You got anything before we go?
I don't think I have anything today. Tigers suck, so nothing on the baseball front to share.
I gotcha. Well, I do think the Reds were down, and I think they just tied it up or may have taken the lead. So we got that going for you if there's any Reds fans out there. But as always, good luck to everybody in the Shovel Mitch League. Hopefully me and Tommy, hopefully we can keep the win streak going. But as always, go Lions, throwing and go Reds and go Tigers there. And then bleed blue.